Okay, so I'm going to use this 45-minute session to look at reasons why someone would not want to include technology in their classroom. I guess for me, that's just kind of hard to imagine somebody that actually doesn't see the benefits of technology. But, they're out there. I had a colleague at one point, older guy, been teaching a while, and as I mentioned before, we had Promethean boards in every classroom, and I'm pretty sure all his did was collect dust. He was a big believer in worksheets and interactive notebooks, which are great, but yeah, lots of worksheets, putting the worksheets on overheads, a lot of drill and kill. And you couldn't change his mind about any of it. Mostly because his kids still did, decently well on most of their assessments. So you couldn't talk him into doing anything differently. He was the type of person, well, this is what works, and I know it works, and this is what I do. He would go to professional development hours with the rest of us and just sit there and not contribute much of anything because, you really just couldn't tell him anything about technology because he knew, he had his mindset and he had his way of doing things and it worked for him. So I guess when I picture somebody not wanting to use technology in their classroom, that's who I picture. So we'll see what I can come up with here. Disadvantages of educational technology. Let's see. Disadvantages of computers in education. Limitless access to information provided to college students by computers. For usage in institutions of higher education. Okay, well, this is not exactly the right area, but let me take a look here. Online learning courses or classes requiring network access, technical issues can cause major problems. Well, that's very true. We used to take some of our standardized testing online, and I always remember those, those couple computers that would act up that morning, and our technology guy running around trying to fix everybody's, inevitably some student's login didn't work, or the software wouldn't load, or we were running behind schedule, and I do remember that causing some major issues. I mean, and that's just a testing day, not necessarily just a regular class day. So I mean, I can see that, but then there's also the point that you have to be able to adjust. I mean, even without technology and lesson plans, they never go exactly right. And you got to think on your feet, and you got to just go with the flow almost. So I feel like if you have that mentality, you can work around some technical issues, I should say. A complete loss of network would probably, halt any project that you were doing on the computers. Alright, anyway, lost or stolen computer may prohibit a student from logging in. Alright, that's a little far-fetched, at least for my area. Students who do not set up proper security settings on personal computers used for college education might be victims of identity theft. Alright, well, I don't think I have to worry about my little 5th graders being victims of identity theft, but the security settings are an issue when you look at elementary students using computers and technology and putting themselves out there. I think every teacher that incorporates the technology into the classroom needs to be aware that they have a responsibility of protecting their students. You never know what kind of people are out there on the internet, and you have to take the extra steps to ensure that your students are protected. But I can see why, that's a decent point that someone would bring up, child security. I can see my old colleague saying that too. Probably more of just something that he didn't feel like dealing with, but yeah, that's definitely a valid point. Let's see, when students replace paper and pen with a computer for education, handwriting skills may suffer. I'm not entirely sure that's a huge deal in and of itself. Kindergarten, kindergarten through third grade, kids are still writing. I mean, they write anyway. Even if you incorporate technology, they're still writing. I don't quite think that's as realistic of a point, unless they're talking about like cursive writing. But most of my elementary years, we didn't use the computer. I didn't really use computers until middle school and high school. And I pretty much can only write my signature, and that's about it. I never once used cursive, so I think that's kind of falling by the wayside anyway. Yeah, I'm not buying that one. I would like to see some proof on that, the handwriting skills. Okay, let's see. Adult learners benefit from increased brain activity when writing new information by hand, particularly in subjects such as math and chemistry. Again, where is the proof on this? I need a citation. I need some kind of study. I am not just going to take this person's word for it. Let's see. Most computer word processing programs, including a spelling and grammar check, and students may rely too heavily on the computer to correct spelling and grammatical errors. That might be something to look up. Students' spelling and grammar and how that is affected by technology. Yeah, I might have to look that one up later. Alright, using computers to cheat is a widespread problem in universities and colleges. Alright, less of a problem in, I think, my 5th grade math, science, social studies, but again, something that might need to be looked at. Online for answers to test questions or have answers sent to the computers by other students. Again, in my situation, any tests the students would take online in my classroom would be in the classroom. They wouldn't be outside the classroom. So any sources that they were using to complete the test, I would know about. But again, that is a valid point for any, teacher that's not really in my situation. You can't monitor kind of what the students are using for their assessments when they are at home. So that could be a valid point. Plagiarizing may be difficult for universities to prove. I'm not so sure about that one. I'm pretty sure if you suspect a student of plagiarizing, you can just type whatever they have put in their paper into Google, and most of the time it'll come up. That being said, you have to know your students, though. If Johnny turns in something that, is way above the level that he normally turns in, that's a red flag there. If he's using words that you're not sure that he knows kind of thing, then yeah, Google search it. So I'm not thinking that's such a big deal, but again, that might be a bigger deal for, teachers that don't know their students, or teachers that wouldn't, have a little more savvy of students and, could maybe disguise plagiarism a little bit better than my 5th graders. Alright, let's check out the end of this. Financial problems may prohibit some students from owning a computer. Yes, that's absolutely true in my case. Placing them at a disadvantage. Low-income college students are less likely to have easy access to a computer and may not have learned basic computer skills that other students learned at a young age. I'm not sure about learning the basic computer skills because, if they attended school, high school, then I'm pretty sure they have basic computer skills. So I don't think that's as much of a deal. I mean, my 5th graders have basic computer skills. But I like some of the ideas in this, so I think I might research some of them further. Let's see. Handwriting suffers technology. Let's see if anything comes up here. Penmanship suffers at hand of technology. Let's see. Greetings from the digital age, fast lane. Keyboards rule and pen and paper are obsolete. Handwriting's on the wall and it isn't pretty, if even legible. As we soar into the cyber stratosphere, penmanship is becoming an outmoded craft. Okay, unless there's a keyboard at every hand, the craft will endure even as it erodes. Alright. Illegible handwriting costs businesses $200 million annually and sabotages the effective exchange of information in the American workplace. 90% of U.S. executives complain of consistently bad handwriting among employees. Alright, well that's an interesting stat, but again, why are they using, you know, so many handwritten things? Why aren't they using computers? No. Sully, no. I have observed a major downgrade in penmanship. Handwriting analyst. Must be an interesting job. It was studied the craft for more than 30 years. Cursive writing was a staple of grade school curricula, is fast becoming obsolete. I mean, I talked about that a little bit before. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I signed my signature and that's about it. But I don't know any other reason why I would ever need it. So, why is it a problem that it becomes obsolete? In fact, I think a lot of people have more trouble reading cursive writing than they do print. So, you know, that doesn't make much sense to me. But I guess, you know, that's coming from a math, science, social studies teacher. You know, those are my favorite subjects. So I might not be taking offense to this as much as, you know, an English teacher might. Alright, let's see. In a 1995 survey of pharmacists in 8 states, 93% say they had lost time because of bad handwriting. Well, that's entirely believable because, you know, it's well known that doctors have some of the worst handwriting. 85% said it resulted in errors, including deaths. Alright, that's pretty serious. I mean, I guess that is something, but are they sure that technology is to blame for this? Because that's 1995 survey. I find it hard to believe that those doctors had grown up using computers so much that their penmanship suffered. You know, I'm not entirely sure that one leads to the other in this case. Kodak annually processes 400,000 film rolls that can't be returned because of illegible addresses. Yeah, that kind of shows you how dated this article is. I mean, Kodak went under, so let's see. Bad handwriting accounts for an estimated 38 million illegibly addressed letters annually and costs the U.S. Postal Service $4 million. Yeah, this is San Jose Mercury News, 1996. I guess I should have looked that up first because, yeah, this is not really all that relevant today. I mean, there's some scary statistics, you know, about the pharmacists and stuff like that, but yeah, not entirely sure this has much to do with students today, especially the letters part. Lots of people, you know, send emails nowadays. So let's see if there's anything else. Pupils losing marks in exams due to poor handwriting. Let's see. Oh, this is from the UK, huh? The rise of digital technology is having a major impact on pupils' handwriting skills, with teachers unable to read exam scripts and emoticons creeping into students' work. Interesting. Students may be missing out on vital marks in GCSEs and A levels because of significant deterioration in handwriting skills. Okay. Figures show almost 2/3 of teachers admit to marking down teenagers' work amid concerns over illegible writing. Study revealed that more than a third, this is from 2014, I just wanted to check, third had also seen emoticons, facial expressions normally inserted. Well, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of emoticons either, especially in formal writing. I don't think that they necessarily belong in the classroom, but that might be another thing for me to look up next, text-speech and, yeah, mobile phone text messages, yep. And how text-speech might, you know, be a hindrance on education. Handwriting experts told how large numbers of students were being left with blisters and aching hands after being forced to write for long periods of time because of lack of practice. Alright, that's a little ridiculous. Just because you include technology in the classroom does not mean that your students don't get practice writing and that they would form blisters because of that. It was claimed that a decline in traditional handwriting skills was directly linked to an over-reliance on technology in classrooms and in the home. Alright, who claimed this? That's what I want to know. A disclosure in a study commissioned by stationery firm Big Follows concerns that poor handwriting can have a direct impact on performance in exams. Okay, where's the study? Previous research has suggested that children who struggle to write fluently devote more brain capacity to getting words onto a page during tests, interfering with their ability to generate ideas, select vocabulary, or plan work properly. But is it suggesting that these children struggle to write fluently because of technology, or what? Like, I mean, I'm just a little skeptical of this, that's all. I'm not entirely sure that's the main cause. Government has now pledged to improve standards, with handwriting playing a bigger part in a newly revamped national curriculum. That's nice for the UK. Schools are required to hold frequent and discrete lessons in handwriting for 5 to 7-year-olds, with pupils being expected to hold pencils properly and form letters. Don't they already do that? I don't know about the UK, but we already do that. Commenting on the latest study, Tony Sewell, an education writer, and former teacher, said clarity of handwriting isn't just important in ensuring exam questions are answered in a clear manner, but is a critical part of the learning process. Okay. Fluid motion of writing and rewriting notes helps to instill the data in mind more. You know, I'm going to go ahead and bookmark this, just because I think it might be worth presenting to, you know, a faculty meeting. Even though it is from the UK, I'm sure people could relate to some of this. Or at least it could lead to a productive discussion about, you know, including more handwriting, just so that, you know, students can keep their penmanship up, I guess. Fluid motion of writing and rewriting notes helps instill that in the mind more efficiently in the process of typing. Making an effective revision tool. I wonder if that can be proven, because I absolutely feel that way just for my own learning, but I'm not saying that anybody else learns that way too. I remember things much better when I physically write out notes. I don't know why, I just do. But, you know, that might be something to see if that can be proven, that actual handwriting does improve, you know, connections or improve recall. I guess I never actually thought about that. You know, in some previous classes, especially the psychology one, I remember reading the chapters in the book, and, you know, although our quizzes were online and discussion boards, I never took notes online. I had a notebook that I kept with my book, and every week I would take notes on the chapters in the notebook. Never even occurred to me to use, you know, the computer to take notes. Yeah, I don't know. I could see that. That actually writing out things helps recall. But I would like to actually see that proven. Alright, moving on. According to figures, 61% of teachers believe there has been deterioration in the quality of handwriting among students in the last 5 years. Almost 2/3, 64% admit that illegible writing has prevented them from awarding the full marks a student deserved. 35% said they have found emoticons in exam answers. Well, that's pretty bad. Again, I guess I don't have as much experience with this because I didn't teach English. Yeah, I mean, I had short answers, you know, and that kind of stuff on my exams, but I never actually found that I couldn't read a student's writing very often. And I guess I never actually took marks off if I couldn't either. I think I would just ask the student. But, you know, if you're a language arts teacher and you're dealing with that every day, you know, I can see how absolutely you would take marks off for that. Yeah, I think this would be something to make a, you know, a good discussion in a faculty meeting about technology. Whereas 82% of teachers believe students are losing traditional skills such as handwriting and mental arithmetic due to over-reliance on technology. Okay, I mean, 82% of teachers believe that, but can this be measured? You know, is there some kind of study that says this? Because, you know, it's great, and I mean, this video is all my opinions, and I give them, but that doesn't mean they're fact, you know? Just the same way as this is an opinion of 82% of teachers, that they believe that these skills are suffering. So I'd like to see that actually proven in a study. Alright, let's see what else we got from this. Oh, I wanted to look up text speech. That's what I wanted. Okay, not what I wanted. Again, not what I wanted. Okay. Let's try this one. Reason negative media attention. Use of text speak. Shorthand abbreviations. Ooh, great for great. Detrimental effects of text speech on literacy prompted this study of texting and literacy in 80 college students. 34 text speak users and 46 non-users on their proficiency affiliated with text users. Results showed that while text speak users were more proficient with the vocabulary, both groups showed familiarity with text speech more important. There were no significant differences between the two groups. In standardized literacy scores or misspellings of common text words. Wow. That's kind of surprising. So even though these kids are using these abbreviations, they're, you know, on the same level as the kids that don't. Analysis showed that use of text speech is not related to low literacy performance. Cool. Well, that doesn't exactly help the bad technology argument, but hey, it's good to know. Okay, let's see. Just trying to give it a little leading question here. Okay. I think this might be going the other way too. Let's see. Yeah, see, this is what I was kind of talking about. Not entirely sure that article is all that sound. I mean, it's giving me a few things to research, but most of them are going the way of, you know, support for technology. been a marked drop in the frequency of plagiarism at colleges and universities that deploy anti-cheating technology, just as campuses adopt online academic integrity policies in large numbers. Colleges use the proprietary technology, saw a 39% drop in unoriginal writing since 2009. The Turnitin study, which analyzed more than 55 million student assignments from 1,000 colleges and universities, also found that the number of student papers graded digitally increased by 100-fold over that 5-year span. That's completely believable. Let's see, results varied from one institution to the next 2-year colleges. Largest decrease in unoriginal writing. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. 4-year institutions. Ooh, that's 4-year institutions. Less than 1,000 students documented the smallest change. Employing technology to evaluate work. Alright, let's see. That didn't go where I wanted it to. I keep safe. Interesting. Wonder what kind of website this is. Formulas written on wrists or knees, crib sheets. What's a crib sheet? Flying V? I've never even heard of some of this stuff. Essential parents begin including calculators, cell phones, and other connected technology devices. Who is allowed to have an iPod Touch in their classroom? Well, let's be honest here. Interesting. In my calculus, pre-calc and calculus classes in high school, my teacher would always make us clear formulas from our calculators before we began a test, and we'll walk around and make sure our screens were blank. Because people would try to store them in there. So I can see how that's, plausible, but you just have to have a savvy teacher, I guess. If you don't, then yeah, it's entirely possible that students could be using calculators. But, the cell phones and the iPod Touches, I don't know any school that allows those out while you're taking a test. Let's see. Know how young people are using technology. 35% of students are rated to use a cell phone to cheat. 3% of parents are rated to believe their child had. I wonder how they use this cell phone. Storing notes on a cell phone or calculator, sending text messages and questions, answers, or pop quiz warnings. Well, that's entirely believable. The pop quiz stuff, because when I think about my 5th graders, that doesn't tend to happen. But I can see how, in a high school, somebody that has, 2nd period pre-calc could text somebody that has 8th period pre-calc and say, hey, there's a quiz in so-and-so's class today. And, they have that extra time to do that. But then again, that would probably happen without technology, too. I don't think technology is necessarily to blame for something like that. Yeah, I find it a hard time believing that these teachers aren't, up on this enough to catch it. So, while the opportunity might be there, I think just responsible assessment practices could maybe fix this problem. Cell phone camera to take pictures of the test. What teacher would not notice a kid pull their phone out and take a picture of the test? I mean, come on. I guess in an online class, if you're allowed, again, this is all just, the teacher not realizing these things. If you're allowed to go back into a test afterwards, or, allowed to save it, answers, and go back in, I guess you could take pictures of the test and then research it on your own time and get back. But I feel like most teachers that pose online tests would impose a time limit, or, you know, not allow something like that. Or, you know, I've seen a lot of teachers do like multiple attempts, but they get a different test every time. You know what I mean? They got different versions of tests. So, okay, yeah, you got a, you know, 70 on this one. You can take it again, and, you know, when they take it again, it's all new questions. Some might be the same, but, you know, they're not going to get the same quiz verbatim. So, again, I think that while the opportunity might be heightened with these tools, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that most teachers want to get around this. Many young people don't realize that these behaviors are unethical. Okay. I'm pretty sure a kid knows when he's cheating, because so many are immersed in the culture of free information available on the internet. For example, according to the study, 23% of respondents said they didn't think storing notes on a cell phone was cheating. Maybe they didn't want to think it was cheating? I don't know. 20% said there was nothing wrong with texting friends about answers during a test. Who are these kids? I mean, really. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's a genuine study, that's pretty sad. Yeah, this could be something to talk about in a faculty meeting. Just bring it up as a kind of cautionary tale to the teachers. Just say, hey guys, you know, with these tools available, it kind of gives students, you know, a greater chance of cheating, I guess. Still, God. But I don't think that's necessarily a reason to not use technologies. I mean, I guess it's hard for me to research this side of it, because everything I want to read, or everything I am reading, I just want to dismiss, because I guess I don't agree with it. So, well, no, not I guess, I don't agree with it. So, I feel like I'm trying to, I'm trying to discredit all of these things, because I don't want them to be true, I guess. Alright, let's keep going here. Cheating methods, be aware of what your child's cell phone policy is at school. Support the school rules. Well, yeah, that's something. In my school, the kids weren't allowed cell phones in elementary school, which is, you know, I think a perfectly good rule for, you know, 5th graders and below. It still amazes me that they even have cell phones. I mean, who do they talk to? I guess each other, but just quite different, I guess, from when I grew up. Alright, yeah, I guess these are just... Alright, I want to look up that study, because this is kind of a hokey website, but if I could look up the actual study. Common Sense Media. Oh. Well, I'm so glad that they linked right to the page. What was it even called? Let's copy this here. See if anything comes up. Wow, what a shocker. Let's try our last thing here. High-tech cheating. Not enthused about these sources here. Alright, let's do what is this? Okay. Well, we saw that study that disproved it, so let's see what this professor, if he's got any new angles on this. Yes, students to write 4 lines of dialogue they had over the weekend. 3 of them reached for their phones to read their text messages. They said they couldn't remember any face-to-face conversations. Where do they find these people? For to continue education, 9 to 18, enhance their writing skills. It's worked on scripts for a zombie movie and mystery capers. Instead filmed their low budget. Okay, keep going. Takes us out all the imaginative threads, description, is troubling. I mean, just because you use social media doesn't mean that you can't be, I don't know, eloquent about it. You don't have to say LOL. Report published in 2010 by Clarion University shows social media are consistently associated with the use of particularly informal written communication techniques, along with formatting problems, non-standard orthography, and grammatical errors. Okay, again, just because they use them in social media and text messages, that doesn't necessarily translate into formal writing. I mean, who cares if somebody's tweet isn't grammatically correct? I mean, yeah, I care a little bit, but, in the grand scheme of things, does it matter all that much? I guess. Like, I don't know, that's hard. I guess that's something to talk about, too. The use of social media in schools. Because if you use something like Twitter and you have your students follow certain people, I don't even know who would have, grammatically incorrect tweets that you would make your students follow. But say there was a person, I guess that could be harmful to students, I feel like I'm stretching here. I guess that could be harmful for their literacy skills. If they're constantly seeing these errors, they may be more likely to repeat these errors in their own writing. But again, we would have to see if they would only repeat those errors in, like their own social media. If, like, hey, this guy's doesn't have correct grammar tweeting. I don't have to have correct grammar tweeting. But we'd have to see if, like, that translated to an exam or something like that. Which that one study did show that the text speech didn't matter so much, so I'm kind of skeptical of all this. But I guess you would have to just know your students. That's the problem here. Like, I don't know these kids, and I don't know the kids in that study. I know my own students, and I know that they don't have perfect grammar, and they don't have, perfect spelling. But I am still skeptical that that stems from technology use. But it could be a conversation starter at a faculty meeting, so let's keep going here. For the most part, this type of writing is more like an informal spoken language in written, unedited format. People are focusing on content and catching the drift of what was written, but not how it looks, especially if we're sending it quickly on an iPhone or iPad before reviewing it. I mean, that's something. If you're just doing quick communications, maybe some people don't even notice grammatical errors because they're only looking at the content. They're not necessarily looking at the mechanics of it, which, is entirely possible. Some students who are avid social media users strive to keep acronyms, errors, and non-traditional techniques out of their writing, whether academic or text-driven. I see abbreviations like LOL on Facebook used by my friends, but that's not how I write. Doesn't belong there. That's not how I was educated by my teachers. Ooh. It's a very mature kid there. But I'm hoping that most kids would realize it, that, writing LOL in the middle of an essay would probably lose you points. Hassan said, despite some of the bad habits and shortcuts to writing encountered in social media, the challenge for writers will be to keep the art form pure while also embracing new forms. It really brought attention to the poor and declining writing, communication, and critical thinking skills that teachers have seen for a long time, but it also helping writers develop experimental ways of writing narrative while enhancing their writing skills. That's exciting. Okay, so she's kind of a champion for both here. I'm going to bookmark this one just as a conversation starter. I think I'd have to do a little bit more research here. Do I need to watch a Prezi? Probably not. Teachers say digital technology helps and hurts students. Ooh, let's see this one. Oh, I thought it said NPR. What is NPR? What is that? Recent survey says social media has given students outlet for their writing. That's a good thing. Okay, so this is acknowledging that social media is providing more opportunities to write. So that's always a positive, obviously. What's not so good is the informal style and sloppiness of texting and social media that's finding its way into student assignments. Again, sort of the same thing we were looking at. Figured out that they have to tell students to keep text. I mean, is that so hard to do? That they have to tell students to keep it out? I guess you shouldn't have to, but I mean, you shouldn't have to tell kids to wash their hands when they come out of the classroom bathroom, but you still need to do that too. My school teachers, before they give us any assignment, every one of them has made it very clear that you'll get a very low grade if you put texting acronyms in there. Okay, I mean, I feel like you just make that clear in the beginning and the students won't do it. Don't even know if they realize it when they're writing, but it's just such a part of their language that they just write it. I don't know. I think that slip-ups like that may happen more if the students are writing on a, word processing document, if they're used to typing those things. But if you're not used to handwriting those things, and I feel like that probably won't happen. You probably won't slip up like that. But I'm looking at this through the lens that I don't agree with it. So clearly I have a problem being an unbiased researcher here. I keep feeling like I need to defend technology the whole time. Alright, let's just this kind of says the same exact thing. But I'll bookmark it just for the future. Any other things in here? Finances. I just like this one as a starting off point. It gave me quite a few things to research. Finances wouldn't be such an issue in my school, so that wouldn't make too much sense. Security. Even though the internet has changed the way we learn, acceptable because of educational technology as a whole. Okay, so this acknowledges that there are dangers. So, security issues. One of the main issues are also procrastination. Alright, not what I was exactly looking for. Yep, not what I was looking for at all. No, I do not want to join. Okay. So this is more about schools protecting the, establishing boundaries so the kids don't go look at, dangerous things. Which I guess I didn't think of. I can see how that would be an issue, though, obviously. I was more of the mindset that the internet predators would come out, which is also true. But yeah, this could be something definitely to look at in a meeting. Just keeping the, some certain sites subject matter blocked from the students, because you obviously don't want your kids looking at that, and you don't want your students going home and saying, hey, guess what I did on the computer today. I'm sure that would make for some very unhappy parents. They lock everything down, they find a hole, close that, and they find another one. I can see how that'd be a little bit more of a problem in high school, but I'm not entirely sure my 5th graders are that savvy enough to get around blocked websites. They can't do malicious stuff. Okay, well, I think this would round out some of what I found pretty nicely. Just the literacy and the security issues, and yeah, no, I think that some of the stuff I found would be good to present as some reasons to at least be cautious about employing technology in the classroom. Yeah, I think that's pretty good.